Welcome back, everyone. And I have Sue again with everybody. And if this is your first lesson, Sue is our teacher, and she is the creator of Cantonese Corner on YouTube. She runs her website, which is CantoLingo, and she is having a character class that starts next Monday on her website. So you might want to check it out, and you can email her to get more information on that. And before we start today's lesson, I also want to give you a reminder that we would very much like you to help us with a survey to fill out at the end of this lesson. So if you can help us to fill out, I think that would be great. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this to Sue.
Hello, 大家好. Yes, I'm Sue Marguerite, and thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to jump right in by reviewing what we learned in lesson 5, which, if you remember, was the verbs to want, to order or call, to give. We went over more measure words. We talked about yamcha etiquette, and we ordered some dim sum. So I think we're going to do a little bit of review in the next few slides about that. So our next slide, we've got, well, first we'll talk about today. We're going to go over the verbs to help, to bring or carry, to pay, and to pick something up with chopsticks or something like a pincher kind of thing, with chopsticks for our purposes today. We'll also introduce some common conversation you might have with your grandparents or other relatives, and more yamcha etiquette. Okay, so let's review. Of course, Cantonese being a tonal language, it's very important to get the tones right. So we have our little chart there that we include on every slide. And it's important to remember that 3 of the tones are just flat. There's no going up, no going down. 2 go up, tone 2 and tone 5 are going to be the rising tones. And 1 is falling down. The most important thing to remember about it is that tone 4, the low falling tone 4, is just the lowest of the low. It's the lowest tone there, even though it's tone 4 and not tone 6. So let's review some of our family relations. Now, I know we haven't seen these in a while. We did these, I think it was lesson 3 or 4, but we've got our dad. Now, there's so many different ways to say dad, just like in English. We have dad, we have daddy, we have father. So in Cantonese, the first one that's shaded is probably the most common. It is your low falling, the lowest ba, high tone ba. So ba ba. Can we hear that from you guys? Ba ba.
Ba ba.
Ba ba.
Ba ba.
Ba ba.
And sometimes it can be shortened. The second one there is like a ba. Well, usually I've got 2 tones there, right? A ba or a ba. So pick the one that you like, and then you can shorten it that way. Also, daddy, which sounds like, this is the 3rd one, daddy. I think we can all hear what that sounds like. It sounds like daddy, right? And then there's the last one is our colloquial lo dao, and that is a colloquial way to call your dad. So the next one is mom, and this one is the same kind of tones. It's the ma, mama, and then we've got the shortened one is ama. All right, let's hear you guys say ama, because that's usually the way I hear my husband call his mom, is the ama. How about try that one?
Ama.
Ama.
Now remember the important thing. Do you guys remember what I said the first time we were learning this? The important thing about saying ama was that the ma is your high tone, the first tone, because if you pronounce it differently, you're going to be saying grandma, and we'll get to that in the next slide. But the other ways here, oops, sorry. I didn't go back to, just because we've got the other ones. The 3rd one is our mommy, and that sounds just like in English, mommy. And remember that in Hong Kong, at least, mommy is used even when you're older. So even my husband will call his mom mommy sometimes. It's not usually in English, it's usually little kids will say mommy, but in Hong Kong, at least, a lot of people call their mom mommy way into adulthood. And the last one, of course, is the lo ma, which is another way to say your mom in a colloquial form, or lomazi, right? But yeah. Mhm. So now the next one here are our grandparents, which usually with yamsa, you know, you have, it's just so wonderful to see people at yamsa, because usually it's kids, parents, and grandparents. So the grandparents, the paternal grandfather, your dad's dad, is going to be your yeah. Can we hear that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Now the next one, paternal grandmother, your dad's mom, is going to be your ma.
Ma.
Perfect. Yes, mama. Very low, very down, so that when you're saying a short form of that, you'll be saying ama. Let's hear that one.
Ama.
Ama. Mhm. Yeah, very low. Because if you said ama, it's going to be your mom. If you say ama, it's going to be your dad's mom. Okay, so that's one that you don't want to get wrong by remembering that the grandmother is low and the mom is high. The next one is your maternal grandfather, because of course in Chinese culture, everybody has a specific name. So your dad's mom and dad, and now your mom's mom or your mom's father is going to be your gong gong. Is that right, Janet? Do I have that right? Because we never because my grandparents, yeah. Mhm. Gong gong.
Gong gong.
Oh, good. And the maternal grandmother is going to be your paw paw.
Paw paw.
Good. Yeah, good. And that's again the low paw, and then you're kind of rising up with the paw. And that's another way. Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually if you want to refer to an older lady or elderly lady, paw is usually a way to say that as well. So it doesn't have to be just your mom's mom, your maternal grandfather or grandmother. But if you see like an older lady on the street that needs help, you could call her paw as well.
Paw or gong gong, it will be the generic names for the seniors.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So now we get to what the grandparents would be calling their grandchildren. And the general term is going to be just soon, the very high tone. Soon. Can we hear that?
Soon.
Soon.
Yeah. So your grandson, you're going to just add the zai for the son. So soon zai.
Soon Jai.
Soon jai.
Yep. And your granddaughter is going to be your soon no.
Soon
Soon
Noi.
no.
Right. And remember with the no, we have the N sound, but a lot of times you'll hear it said as soon lo with an L, because we have that N and L difference, right? The soon no or soon lo. So either way is perfectly acceptable. So here, last time when we met last week, we were talking about things that we wanted, right? And we had, this is a sentence we had from last week. So we're just going to review that we have our ngo, which is I, you, which is want. And then we've got our yet deep. Now that deep is going to be our measure word for the a plate. Yet deep. 腸粉. And then we've got 兩籠. Can we hear that one? 兩籠. The籠. The long is a basket, and it's the fourth tone, the very low falling long. And then we have our hagao, which is hagao, hagao. Yeah, good. So I want a plate of rice rolls and 2 baskets of shrimp dumplings. Do you think you guys can do the whole sentence by yourselves? You want to try? Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 我要一碟腸粉，兩籠蝦餃。Yeah, good. So that was from last week. And then now we're going to go on to another one that we had. And This one is going to be using the measure words that we learned last week, which is the wool for the teapot, wool. It's going to be using the jack for measure word for our cups, and do is going to be our measure word for chopsticks. So the sentence is going to be, excuse me, and we're using 唔該. I didn't put the tone marks on there, but I think you guys all know it's 唔該 for that. 唔該俾一壺. Okay, let's do it part by part, right? So we'll do that. 唔該
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 俾一壺茶.
俾一
俾一
茶
壺茶，
兩隻杯.
兩隻
兩隻
杯，
杯
三對筷子.
三對
對
筷子
筷子，
我.
我
Right, and you probably noticed for this one that in Cantonese, you're saying, well, in English, you're saying, please give me, right? So the me comes, it can come early on very first. Please give me 1 pot of tea, 2 cups, and 3 pairs of chopsticks. But in Cantonese, usually the person you're giving something to comes at the end. So 俾一壺茶我，俾一隻杯我, okay, instead of that. So it's kind of in English, it says, please give 1 pot of tea, 2 cups, and 3 pairs of chopsticks to me. Okay, so in English, you can do it both ways. You can have it like give me or give something to me. But in Cantonese, it has to be the second way, give something to me. Okay? Now, some useful dialogue is going to be if you wanted to ask your grandparents what they like or want to eat, or just saying what they like or want to eat. So we're going to take different parts of this and put it together with the pictures on the side. So first of all, the pictures on the side are the top picture. Have you guys tried those before? Do you know what they are? The
小籠包
小籠包. Yeah, good.
The measure word be for 小籠包.
What was
basket? The measure word for 小籠包, what would that be if we need to order that? Is it my mic is not picking up?
It's a little bit
lower, huh?
A little bit low. But I think what Janet's asking is, who knows what the measure word is for our basket? If we wanted to order a basket of 小籠包, which measure word would we use?
籠
That's correct. Long.
Long means basket. So if you were saying my yeah, let's use yeah. Yeah is my paternal grandparent. Yeah. The first one is likes to eat. 鍾意食. So yeah 鍾意食 well 小籠包, right? If we're using it like that. Yeah 鍾意食小籠包. How about we try that one?
爺
中意
爺爺
食
鍾意食
小籠包
小籠包。
小籠包，
Yeah, that's easy, right? Okay, so if I told you in English and then you reply in Cantonese, if I said, my mom's dad wants to eat 小籠包.
公公少食小籠包。
I don't know if you guys all caught that. Can you say it one more time?
公公
公公
常食小籠包。
The 想食, wants to eat. 想食. So how about the bottom one? Below the 小籠包, we have the 春卷. 春卷. And that literally translates into spring rolls. I don't actually see the spring rolls on my, did it get cut off a little bit on the bottom for all you guys, or is it just me?
It's there.
Oh, okay. I think it must be my screen. I don't know why. But in any case, it literally translates as spring rolls, which in English is usually what you see on the menu when they're talking about 春卷. So what if you were to say, my mom's mom likes to eat 春卷? How would you say that?
婆婆中意食
婆
春
鍾意
卷
食春卷。
春卷，
Yeah, really good. So those are some useful things, just saying that what they like to eat. Our siêu lòng bao and our xuân quyển. Okay. So we're going to introduce 3 new verbs in this lesson. And the first one means to help. And it's the very high tone, so it's easy to say because you just go right to the top to say bong. And it looks just like it's, yeah, good, bong. The second one is going to be to bring or carry. And it is the mid-rising, the second tone, law.
Law.
Law. Good. And the third one is going to be also a mid-rising second tone, meaning to treat, which is tang.
Chang.
Right. So these are 3 really useful verbs that when you are having yamcha with your family, you might be using these words. And also, I want to mention that anytime you're going to like a restaurant and taking something out or bringing something, taking it away, you're going to be using the law, like lao zao, right? So if you've ever ordered from a Chinese restaurant, you might have heard that. And this is the law that you'll be using for lao zao, right? To take something away. So some others that would be really super useful are bei. Now our bei is our give. So if you're bei qin, now both are mid-rising, bei qin, that means to pay or to literally give money. So let's hear you guys say that one, the bei qin.
Beijing.
Perfect. Good. And then we have our to call for the bill or to, you're ready to leave. And in English, you probably say, check please, or, please may I have the bill, something like that. But in Cantonese, universally, it's always going to be your mai dan.
Mai dan.
Mai dan.
Mai dan.
And I'm sure if you have ever been to Yamcha, you will have heard this before because a lot of times like dai, mai dan, like that. So that means to call for the bill or like check please. So here's one that's super useful. And if you have grandparents or you are a grandparent, you probably have used this before or heard it. And that is going to be the very high tone. Guai. Guai. Can we hear you guys say that?
Why?
Now it's usually, it's usually combined with like the grandchild, which is soon. So you say guai soon. You'll hear that a lot. Guai soon, and they're both the high tone. So can we try that one? The guai soon.
Guai soon.
Quai soon.
Yeah, you'll hear that a lot when they want to say, it means obedient, but I think in English, you know, like a good girl, like, oh, what a good girl, like you're such a good girl or a good boy, in that way. So although the meaning is obedient and it has that meaning, in translation, we probably would be saying like good girl, like, oh, you're such a good girl, or good boy. Something that you might want to be saying, or you'll hear for sure, is people telling you to eat slowly, right? So that's going to be the two. You'll notice the Chinese characters are both the same, right? If the first two characters there are both exactly the same, but the tone is different when you say them. So you're going to be saying that low falling man, and then the second tone man. So man sek, man sek. Can we hear that?
Man
Months.
And I'm sure if you've had yamsa before, or any meal before, usually is like, you know, eat slowly, like don't rush. Really, it's literally saying slowly eat. But in English, like a lot of times, like take your time, don't rush, eat slowly. Mamansek. Another way to say don't rush, no need to hurry. Oh, enjoy your meal. Yeah, that's a really good one, Jim. Sorry, I'm reading the comments and see that it popped up. Is take your time, don't hurry. This one here, no need to hurry, don't rush. Another way to say, saikap. Saikap. Can we hear that one?
Saikap.
Saikap.
Yeah, and that's literally don't, yeah, don't, there's no need to hurry, don't rush. So if somebody's, this is a phrase that's useful when someone's offering you to maybe pour the tea for you or to do something for you, and you want to say, oh, it's okay, like let me do it myself, I can do it myself, right? And so it's simply said as that is going to be like your, it's okay, that that, and then the next part is going to be your 自己嚟, right? 自己嚟. 自己嚟 means literally myself 嚟 come, right? Like I can do it myself, really, right?
It's
自己.
almost like me do. Because the direct translation.
Say it again.
It's just a me do. 自己嚟. Then
Yeah.
I do it. Yeah, like me do.
Me too. 自己 is definitely your like myself. 我自己 would mean myself. 你自己 is like yourself, right? So, and because of course I'm the one speaking, I'm obviously talking about myself, so I don't have to say 我自己嚟. I can just say 自己嚟, right? But if I wanted to tell you to do it yourself, then you probably would say like 你自己. Well, you could say 自己做 because you're talking to them and they know, right? But yeah, just to say that you put the 我 or the 你 or the 佢before the 自己. So 好唔好食啊? 好唔好食啊? Does it taste good? Right? Let's hear that one. 好唔好食啊?
好唔
好唔好食啊？
好唔好食啊？
好唔好食㗎？
唔好食。
唔好
唔好
食，
食。
唔好食。
唔好食，
Yep, it does not taste good. You've got your meaning your negative, and then you're just repeating the 好食. So it tastes good would be 好食.
好食，
好食。
好食. It tastes good. So that's something that usually people are going to be asking when you're eating. And of course, they're always going to ask 飽唔飽啊? 你飽唔飽啊? You guys want to repeat that one?
飽唔
飽唔
飽啊？
飽啊？
唔飽
飽啊？
唔飽. Well, this one, yeah, 唔飽啊。唔飽啊。
唔飽
唔
啊？
飽啊？
Now that one is really literally no, not full, right? But there's another way that, I'm so sorry, I forgot to write the phonetics in there, but it's our second one there, and it's may bao, right? May bao, and that may, may bao.
未飽。
未飽，
Yeah, and that really is your not yet, right? Because your may is going to be your, same when we had the 食咗飯未啊? Do you remember that? Like the greeting around lunchtime? 食咗飯未啊? And that one is the same may, right? May, not yet. So 未飽 is not yet. And then if you said like, oh, I'm stuffed, right? Which usually happens at Yum Cha because it's so good. 好飽啊.
好飽啊。
好飽啊？
好飽啊？
Yep. Or if like you're like, I don't really want to try that one, you could, oh, 好飽. I've had enough, I'm stuffed. And you might hear another phrase at Yum Cha would be like, is it enough? And that would be your go, 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 go,
夠唔夠
夠
啊？
唔夠啊？
好啊？
And this go is like there's your third tone that go, go. And then to answer, of course, go is not enough.
唔夠，
唔夠。
Or go la. And this one, I'm stuffed, right? Go la. It
Go la.
literally, yeah, good, sorry. It literally means enough, right? So a lot of times, people will, if for example, they're in this context, right? Go, like, go la. They mean like, I've had enough, right? I'm stuffed. Because it literally means like enough, right? So a lot of times you'll hear if someone's pouring something for you or they're putting something on your plate and you're like, go la. It's like, it's enough, right? So the meaning we have here is like, I'm stuffed, I'm full, but it's really just enough. Okay, yeah, enough la, right? Go la. So our next one here is we're going to be bringing in our bong and the gap. Did we have this one before? I'm not sure if we had a single slide on this one, but we've got our ngõ bon nảy, which is the top there, well, both of them in the green. Ngõ bon nảy is I help you. And then I help you do what? That's going to be your verb. That's going to be in blue. And then you just add the at the end. So ngõ bon nảy gặp gặp is going to be your I'm so sorry, it didn't finish this one. I will help you to get it, or to get it with chopsticks. Your gặp is going to be something with like a pinchers kind of thing. I'll gặp俾你, right? I'll bon nảy gặp. That's if you see, for example, your grandparent or someone, and the dish, the dim sum, might be a little bit far for them to reach, and you can see that maybe they're reaching across to try to get something far away, and you can say I'll bon nảy gặp, right? I'll bon nảy gặp is I will get it for you, really. But what you literally mean is you're going to help them to pick it up with your chopsticks. So I'll bon nảy gặp, let's hear that one.
你幫你
我幫你夾
我
啊，
幫你夾啊。
Nè gặp à.
Yeah, good. So here's another one using the same, ngõ bon nảy, but this time you're going to be topping up or pouring the tea. So ngõ bon nảy châm trà à, ngõ bon nảy châm trà à. Let's hear that one.
我幫你
我
斟
幫你
茶。
斟茶啊。
Now, I really should say that if you just want to say, I'll help you, and ngõ bon nảy is enough. You don't really have to say what it is you're going to do. If you can see what you're going to be doing, you can see they need help with something, ngõ bon nảy, ngõ bon nảy. It's enough just to say that. Or if you don't know how to say in Cantonese what it is you're going to help them do, ngõ bon nảy, right? Ngõ bon nảy. And this one, ngõ bon nảy châm trà, ngõ bon nảy châm trà. So let's do some practice, okay? How about for this one? I read the English and you guys do the Chinese, okay? So if I were to say, gong gong, sorry, gong gong, 你鍾意食乜嘢?
Con nè trông như食乜dạ?
I'm so glad you followed me and not what's written. Let me try that again, because we use remember when we had the乜嘢, which means, what does乜嘢mean?
What?
Perfect. What? But there's a shorter way to do it, which is your mea, right? Mea. And that's what we have actually here. I just read it wrong because I was just thinking of what it meant in English. So we've got gong gong, 你鍾意食咩? Can we hear that one?
公
公公你鍾意食咩啊？
Perfect. And a lot of times it's funny because the乜嘢is very distinct, like乜嘢, but the mea just always sounds very mea, like that. So yeah, 公公你鍾意食咩? Okay, and let's see what the next one's going to be. I want to eat shrimp dumplings.
我想食蝦餃。
蝦餃。
Yep, 我想食蝦餃. Yeah, good. Let me help you get it.
我
幫你
幫
夾
你
啊，
夾啊。
Yeah, 我幫你夾啊. Okay, and the just 我幫你夾 is okay. 我幫你夾啊, the to kind of soften it, right? 我幫你夾啊. What a good girl or boy. Thank you so much.
乖孫，
乖孫唔該晒。
乖孫唔該晒。
Perfect. I'm so glad we've got such great examples of how to say it. It sounds really good. So we've got 乖孫唔該晒. And remember, your sai is just adding your very much, right? Or your so much. 唔該 is already thank you. 唔該晒, sai is going to be your so much or your very much. Now it comes time to pay the bill. So another useful thing you'll say again is 埋單啊唔該.
埋單啊，唔
單啊唔該，
埋單啊，唔該。
買單啊，唔該。
Right. And the is usually just kind of, I heard a lot of you say, which sounded great. It's just kind of maitana. It's not really like drawn out or long. You don't even have to use it. You could just say maitan mgai, but the kind of just links it all together. Maitana mgai. And we're going to get to this when we talk about etiquette and different cultural things when you go to Yamcha. But a lot of times you'll want to say like, it's my treat. And to say it's my treat in Cantonese, you're literally saying, I invite you to eat, or right, Janet? I mean, like, it's like kind of tang, it can be like invite. Yeah, so it's literally saying, I know that was one thing that when I was learning Cantonese, like, how do I say treat? Like, I treat you. And it doesn't translate directly. It's more like, I invite you to eat. So, 我請你食, or 我請你食啦.
我請你死啦。
我
我請你食啦。
我請你食啦. Yeah, good. So I invite you to eat. It's my treat. So usually when you say that, you'll say the very famous expression, which is 哎呀, right? 哎呀, I think we've all heard that or heard of people saying that. 哎呀，唔使啦。
哎呀，唔使啦。
唔使啦。
哎呀，唔使啦。
And that 哎呀 is just an expression, kind of an interjection to mean like, you know, like, no need, right? No need to sang. The other one is, let me treat. And that would be, 等我請啦.
哎呀，
等我請啦。
Now, this one, if you know a little bit of Cantonese, you might hear the dang that after the 等我請, the dang literally means, one of the meanings is wait, right? Wait. So it literally is like, wait for me to invite you to eat, right? That dang is used kind of in an interesting way here, because in English we wouldn't be saying like, wait for me, right? But 等我請 means like, let me, 等我, right? 等我嚟, let me do it, right? 等我嚟, 等我請 is let me. And very useful, because that's another one where you're like, how do you say in Cantonese, let me, in English? Because it's so common, like, let me do this, let me tang, let me, but let me is usually your 等我嚟, let me do it, 等我請. So I just thought I'd ask you guys, what are some of the etiquette tips that you remember from our last class when you're having yamcha, and especially regarding the tea or other things you remember? Can you maybe unmute your mic if you have it muted, or else just answer, what etiquette tips do you guys remember from last time?
Don't use the public chopsticks to eat with.
Yes, something I usually do by mistake, but yes.
公筷.
Yeah, the gong fai. Oh, I see Margaret saying, fill other people's tea first. Awesome. Yes. Usually it's very rude to fill your own tea first. Even if the other glasses are full, you usually do like a little drop in each glass just to show that you are deferring to them. Faith says, tapping 2 fingers. Yes, tapping 2 fingers next to the teacup when you, to say thank you for someone when they zamcha. Anything else? I'm not sure if I see everything in the chat. Yes, I can see. Put the lid halfway open on the pot, and that signifies that you are out of water and tea and you need them to refill it. And then fight for the bill. Yes, that is one. Oh, Newt says bowl and plate. And that is true, like using the bowl versus the plate. And yeah, we're going to be talking about fighting for the bill. Fighting for the bill. So yeah, those are awesome. I'm so glad you guys remember a lot of those from last time. And now this time, today, we're going to be talking more about etiquette when it comes to the food part. Oh yes, Susan. Yes, serve your elders first. That's a big one. Yeah, good. Serving your elders first is always good. But having said that, serving your elders first, grandparents also like to feed their grandchildren, right? To make sure that they're eating a lot and ordering what the grandkids like to eat. So you'll notice that while it's very polite and you'll get a lot of 乖孙, 乖孙, if you're a grandchild and you're actually got the dim sum, they gong gong and papa, or your yeah and ama, that likewise they'll also be doing the same to make sure the grandkids eat. So we thought that in Yamcha, because people are always encouraging you to eat and try different foods, especially if you're new to Yamcha and you're going with your family or your friend's family, and they're trying to get you to try everything, and either you're full or maybe you're just a little bit apprehensive about eating some of the dim sum dishes, because there are some that are pretty unusual if you're not used to eating Cantonese and dim sum. And so how to politely reject the food. Now, Janet, you and I talked about this before. You could say, of course you can't say 好饱 if you just got there, right? Because you haven't even started to eat yet. So one way would be to say, oh, 好饱, 好饱, I've had enough, I'm full. But what were some of the other ways we talked about?
唔要啦，唔該，多謝. I tend to use 唔該and 多謝 all at the same time, just trying to reject. 要啦，唔要啦, just keep saying 唔該，唔該，唔該.
Another way that I've found to be very effective is not saying anything before, saying like, oh, thank you, and accepting it. But then I will sometimes ask my husband or something to, like, I try it a little bit, and then he will usually help me to eat it. So that's another way that, to show that not you're outright rejecting it, but you're trying it, but it's just, then he usually takes it from me, which is nice. I do the same with my little pot. That is something that because you don't want to be rude, especially if you're a Westerner and you don't want to be rude and just say like, there's no way I'm ever going to be eating that. But you might want to, so taste a little bit, and then yeah.
Yeah, and we also will tend to say a lot of 夠啦，夠啦，夠啦，夠啦，夠啦, and then say a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah, because of and somehow saying it a couple times makes it more 夠啦, 夠啦, 夠啦. It makes it more like gentle, right? Like not as abrupt. You're like 夠啦, like it just sounds very one time. But 夠啦, 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 it's more. Do you think so? Like more kind of softens it a little bit.
So yeah, it softens it up a little bit.
Yeah. 夠啦. Yeah, 唔使啦, 夠啦. So yes, politely reject food. And then of course the big one that a few of you mentioned in the chat before was fighting for the bill. This is very real and you might be very surprised the first time you see it, especially as a Westerner. There's all kinds of tricks that go along with fighting for the bill. I've been at a family dinner before where they literally were like fighting all the way up to find the waitress to they're like, 這個揸住佢 credit card, and then they're just like fighting over the credit card, and it got to be a big thing. But no one bats an eye because they're all very used to people fighting over paying the bill. And do you guys have any experiences of this where you're at the restaurant and like a friendly fight breaks out of who to pay the bill? Do you have any stories like that? Anything that you remember?
Just pay before the end. Pay the bill early, before everybody knows, or like you go to like, oh, I can go to the restroom, right? Then you just pay it when you go to the restroom.
Yes. Yep. And go to the bathroom and pay. Sneaking. What is Margaret saying? I have to look at the chat. I've seen people sneaking the credit card to the waitress before people notice. Yeah, casually leaving for the bathroom is a big one. In fact, every time I see somebody like, excusing themselves to use the bathroom, it's like, okay, I know what's up. It really is a sport.
What if
It
you're
really.
broke? What if you don't have enough money to treat everybody?
Oh, well then I guess you'd just stay quiet and let the others fight over it. I don't think, yeah, it's not like everybody at the table will. And that's something else that we kind of discussed before, Janet. We were talking about the hierarchy, or kind of like who's expected to pay the bill. So for example, there was one time when I offered to pay, and it was almost seen as like, what is she doing? Like, that's not, like, it would be like the oldest brother, or it would be isn't that right, Janet? We were kind of talking about that in my experience, at least.
Sometimes when there's someone who is most has a he or she, they may have a higher seniority than you do in the family. Sometimes they will be the one who are sort of expected to pay, and then the fight will break out between the people in the same sort of peers.
Right. Yeah, the same kind of level of either in the family or in the. I've seen before where in my family it would be, we were actually treated, but then my husband would feel like, no, I need to pay, and then he would be fighting with the person that actually invited us to dinner, and it was just, and they were also more of the same kind of peer level as well.
And I think among friends, usually we will just sort of figure it out, say, oh, this time is your turn, next time is mine, or we will just kind of split the bill, in my generation. But of course, the older ones, they tend to fight the bill a little bit more.
Yeah, it's very, the first couple times is like, oh, what's going on? But then you kind of get used to it, and it just becomes part of like you said, the sport. Yeah, a sport. Kim says, it's the second most senior that pays in our family. That's interesting. Yeah, I suppose too, I mean, if it's your family, then you kind of get used to who pays the bill, and once that's established, it tends to be the way of things. So yeah, but that's a huge part of yamcha, or any kind of dinner, is fighting for the bill.
Yeah, I think it is true that it's the second senior in that level, probably, because if grandparents and your parents and you go together, then usually it would be the parents who pay.
Oh, yeah.
It won't
Right.
land on the grandparents usually, unless the grandparent, they made a very specific request that they are treating everybody.
Right. Oh, that's right. Because I was thinking second most senior, thinking like the second son kind of thing. But yeah, the second, that's right. Yeah, grandparents, parents, kids. I have experienced that too. So let me move my chat box so I can see. Number of parties, number of food. Dim sum is very interesting in that it comes, you can see all the different pictures there. Some of the dim sum dishes are going to be in 3s, in 2s, in 4s, in 1. So you have to kind of plan accordingly for how many people are in your party to make sure that you have enough dim sum to go around. So if you have 4 people and you get yat long of the, like the lai wang bao or something like that, then you may have to, really bad when you have 4 people. It's true, because a lot comes in 3s. So you end up getting either 2 baskets or 1 basket, and someone splits the dim sum. And also in Hong Kong, when I first got to Hong Kong, this is like the late 80s and the 90s, most of the tea houses were the traditional style with the dim sum carts and the stamp card. And most of the dim sum was, you just had to wait for it to come around in the cart. You couldn't even really order it as much as, because, well, there was so much, they were, you would either get up from the table and walk around the tea house to find the trolley that had what you wanted, or you would just wait for it to come around, and usually it would. But nowadays, especially after having COVID and all that, now we've got the new style. So here's pictures of what the old style looks like. And you can see every table has a card, like the third picture in. there's your stamp card, and the ladies with the carts have a little stamp with them, and when they give you the dish, they would stamp it in the correct box that would denote how much you pay, right? And the other piece of paper on the top there is one where they have the names of the dishes, and you tick it at the bottom and turn that in. And those are usually, yeah, they still have those now in Hong Kong. They still will have some of the trolley carts, even in so-called new style, where you're ordering off of the piece of paper. And but usually the trolleys now are reserved for the dry dishes. They don't really have the long, the bamboo baskets, the steam baskets in them. They have the one where they'll have the sliding glass doors, and inside will be more of the dry dim sum, like the char siu so and the ham shui gong, those kind of dim sum dishes.
Yeah, and then also on the ordering sheets, you will likely see these characters there as well, which is Dai, Zhong, Xiu, and Dak Dim, which is the large, medium, small, and special dishes. So that way you'll be able to tell which one will be more expensive, which one is the least expensive. So more expensive usually is the Dai Dim, and then the Zhong Dim will be the medium expensive ones, and then the Xiu Dim would be the least expensive. And of course, if you have the Dak Dim, then that one will be the most expensive, usually like a special dish.
Yeah, and the dim that Janet is saying is just your dim sum. So your zhong dim is just your medium size, not size, but the medium dim sum. Zhong dim, dai dim. So yes, now the new style, they've kind of done, wow, I didn't even notice the long on those sides aren't even round anymore. I haven't seen those before. Have you guys seen those before?
I've seen it in Hong Kong, yes. And then I think even here in San Francisco, they also have these newer style steam bamboos as well. The steamer.
Like was a hexagon or
a hexagon shape. Yeah, hexagon shape.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's cool. I haven't seen those before. I probably just go to they're too old style, the ones, the Zhao Lao that I go to. But yeah, the new style, of course, I guess now, especially with COVID, ordering off the touchpad screen, ordering off the menu, and they just come around and take your order. It's not as fun. Oh, there's something else too. Do you guys remember back in the old days, and rarely do I see it now, but sometimes, my goodness, every time we went to Yamsa in the big tea house, like in the, they would just take the tabletop off. Like it was a huge wooden tabletop that would go on top of a smaller tabletop. But when they needed to change it to make the table smaller or bigger, they would literally take this huge wooden wheel off the table and roll it through the tea house when you're eating. So you would see routinely these big wooden wheels go rolling through the tea house. Do you guys remember that, or is it just anybody? You remember? Okay, good. Yeah, I always thought that was so cool because they would just and they do it so quickly too, and move the tabletops around. So
yeah, and I think pre-COVID, a lot of people, as you can see in this picture, there's a lot of table sharing as well. I think so during or after COVID, then it really didn't quite happen anymore. And this is a very, very old school sort of a dim sum place called in Hong Kong. It actually recently shut down. Again, it has to do with the pandemic. And as you can see, there's even bird cages up here that some of the seniors, they will even bring their birds with them, which is very, very old school.
Yeah, that used to be, oh, right. The bird cages, and you see the elderly gentlemen walking with their birds in the cages, and you don't see that so much anymore. But my father-in-law still keeps birds in cages and takes them out and hangs them in a tree outside.
And then here, dim sum, the two words again, it actually means touching heart or connect heart. So it's a very common thing for the seniors to do and to socialize. And this is what they do in the morning, where they go and meet their friends, to have 一盅兩件, which is one pot of tea and 2 pieces of dim sum. It's almost like a routine for many seniors in Hong Kong and also here in Chinatown and San Francisco and Oakland too.
Mm-hmm.
So the big, so the event that happens daily, but is to connect people, to connect.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
When I go dim sum, they used to cut it. You know, they ask you like something like a roll. They will ask you, do you want to cut it or not cut it? Do they still do that, or that's a while back? Do they ask you a question like that if you order some dim sum?
They still do it, I think, even without asking. For example, if it is the chow fun, they usually will come with the scissors and then they will cut it for you. And if you want to ask them to cut it, it's 唔該剪啦，唔該剪. So 剪 is the cut motion of it.
唔該剪.
唔該剪啦.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, same. We always did that with the ham soi gong. Sometimes they can zien hoi go. Yeah, zien. But yeah, and reading the newspaper too, for the seniors now. But I don't know. I mean, nowadays the big broadsheets, it used to be you'd see them all at the reading newspapers too. I can see one gentleman there reading the newspaper in the picture. So.
Yeah, so this comes to the end of this series. So thank you, Sue, again very much. And we will have the second series probably starting either end this year or maybe early next year. But in the meantime, do visit Sue at her YouTube channel, Cantonese Corner, and her website, which is CantoLingo.com. You can also check out her Instagram. And also with our library as well, we will always update our Cantonese learning resources, and you'll find our website there too, and also our Instagram page. Again, lesson 4, 5, and 6 will be made into a video that we will post it on our Oakland Public Library YouTube page. So make sure you guys review that. And I will also make these PowerPoint slides available for all of our students as well. And before you go, make sure you help us to fill out a survey, which I think Wendy is going to be posting it on our chat. So if you guys have any more questions, you can ask Sue, and then thank her very much for her willingness to teach our class. It has been my pleasure to be helping you out and to be helping you with some of the teaching. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I don't even know what time it is. I wasn't wearing my watch. What time is it?
It's 7:27 at the moment.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, if there's any questions. And please do, yes, fill out the survey. Love to know what you guys think. And look forward to seeing you guys next time. Maybe